Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following message that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. Yo, guys, the message reads like this. Hello, my brother, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I am a lady who is aged 38 years old. I am currently living in a foreign land, South Africa to be precise, but I come from Zim. I have my own story that I want to share with you. This was after you sent out that message whereby you said that if anyone has any spiritual encounter, they should come and give you their own spiritual encounter. Mine, my brother, it is a family secret that we have been keeping. And this whole thing, it was caused by my mother. I can say that my mother was the one who spoiled my little brother, a lot. Well, we grew up and we all knew that my brother was a spoiled brat because he was the only boy in the family. So my mother kept on telling him that she loved him a lot because he was the one who was going to carry his father's name. And we were almost like we didn't even exist in her world. And the other reason as to why my mom spoiled this little brother of mine, it was because of the way that my little brother was born. Well, my mother had been told by some prophets that when she got married to our father, my father's relatives, they were quite jealousy. They were really jealous and they didn't want my mother to have a male child. So my mother, the first time when she started staying with my father, she had fallen pregnant and it was a baby boy. But after the rituals were done against her out of my father's relatives' jealousness, that was when my mother lost her first child. When my mother had a stillborn baby, from there on she kept on giving birth to girl child, including me, until finally when my mother and my father went to this other traditional healer. When they went, they did that process which they call kuchika, and at that time my mother was told that her womb was going to be turned around, and when they would turn around her womb, then she would be able to give birth to a baby boy. That is how my brother was born. When my brother was born, we saw that my mother, she seemed not to give us any attention at all. She was only giving our brother all of her attention. But we understood that my mother had suffered a lot at the hands of my father's relatives. But she kept on making sure that my young brother was always spoiled. He was always spoiled at school. If you would come complaining, if you would say that there was someone who has bullied me, instead of my mother actually going to the school so that she can hear the other side of the story, she will always take my little brother's side of the story. She would go there and swear at the teachers and threaten to beat up everyone that would have beaten up my young brother. That is the backstory of how my young brother ended up killing his first girlfriend. So when my young brother was now in university, he was in law school at that time. He wanted to be a lawyer. When he was in law school, he then started dating this very beautiful woman. She was quite a beautiful, intelligent lady. She was bound to be a doctor, and she came from a very wealthy family. They were like a match that was made in heaven, a lawyer and a doctor. Both of them, they were quite intelligent. But my brother was someone, I don't know if he was someone who was psychotic or someone we can say that he had that spirit of just murdering someone in his blood or in his brain, because when he started dating this young woman, he started complaining that this woman was actually cheating on him. When I heard this story, I was disappointed in that young, intelligent woman, because she was not that type whereby if you would look at her, you would say that this is the cheating type. I then confronted her. I said, so what is happening to you? Why are you cheating on my brother? She then said, if only you knew what your brother has done to me. I said, what has your brother done to you? She then said that your brother, I never thought that he was this violent man. So the whole thing started when they had gone to this other club. Whilst they were at that club, my brother then went to just relieve himself in the bathroom. So when he came back, he then started saying that, why have you been talking to this other guy? But this woman, who was later killed by my brother, she claimed to had never spoken with that man. So it was like my brother was now having these hallucinations in his mind. He kept on having those hallucinations, and whenever you would have that episode, you would think that everything that you would have seen was actually true. Thought that the man who was sitting on the other table enjoying some drinks with his friends, the man had actually came to speak with his girlfriend in his absence. Then when the girlfriend was trying to reason with my brother, that was when she said my brother became so violent. He then grabbed that bottle of Chateau and he went to that place where that man was busy hanging around with his friend, but he didn't stand in front of him. He went and he stood behind them so that they won't see him. That was when he smashed that bottle of Chateau into that man's head, and that man collapsed. And he then came and he grabbed that young intelligent woman and they ran away. My brother, when I heard this story, I then confronted my brother. If only we had known that my brother was someone who had a psychotic behavior, maybe something could have been done earlier on. When we asked my brother about this incident, he started crying. He cried because he said that he could not remember anything, and whenever he would cry, he would be so soft, so much that you would actually feel so sorry for him until the murder happened. He kept on saying that he was suspecting that the girl that he was dating was cheating on him. One night when he was at that girl's house, the parents had gone out. That was when he woke up in the middle of the night. People said that they had an argument, like their friends were the ones who gave the witness that during the afternoon they seemed to have a quarrel. Then later on they were seen kissing each other, sitting by that girl's gate, just relaxing. Then later in the evening, that was when people from that neighborhood had a lot of screaming and loud sounds that were coming out of the house. So when people finally jumped the gate, because some people, they were afraid to get into that yard since they had a lot of big dogs in there, and there was no one who was going to lock up those dogs, since my brother and his girlfriend were like fighting in the house. So people hesitated for a very long time, but when they heard that the noise had suddenly stopped, that was when one brave man jumped the Jura wall and started fighting with the dogs until he had managed to reach the front door. When he reached the front door, he said that the scene that he saw in the kitchen, it was totally horrifying, because there was blood everywhere. There was blood on this other white 4-plate stove. There was blood on the fridge. There was blood on the tiling. He followed the blood and he found out that my young brother was sitting in the living room and he was crying. As he was crying, he was holding this big knife and he had blood all over his face, as if he had stuck his face into the deceased body of this girl that he had killed. That is the state in which they found my young brother. He never ran away. He never did anything. He was the one who actually said, please call the police, because what I have done, it is really evil. He said that he saw the devil speaking with him, and when he saw the devil speaking with him, the devil told him to end the life of his girlfriend, since the girlfriend was not a holy woman, because she was cheating on him. And when my young brother was arrested, instead of my mother accepting the situation that he had found himself in, my mother refused to accept. My mother then started visiting a lot of traditional healers, and I have to admit that in our country they are very powerful traditional healers, because my mother approached this other traditional healer who told my mother that she was supposed to bring a handbag. We saw my mom rushing back with her little sister. They only grabbed the handbag and some of my mother's underwears, and they returned back to that traditional healer. When they returned back home, we just smelled that there was something that was really smelly, and what was smelling, it was poo. What had happened was that my mother had been told by that traditional healer to do some poo in her handbag, and she kept on doing this poo in her handbag throughout the night. She had this handbag in the bathroom. So at our house, we only had one toilet. So when I woke up in the night, I saw that there was a handbag that was close to the toilet seat. I opened it up and I wanted to vomit because there was poo. She took that handbag that was full of poo, and when it was the day for my young brother's first hearing, she took that handbag that she had been doing all of her poo inside of it, and we went to court. Then my brother got released. When my brother got released, the case was never solved, my brother. And my brother, he has gotten married to 3 young women right now, and all of these women, they have since passed away. If you were ever to come across my young brother, even if they say they want to arrest him today, I don't even know what they will be arresting, because my young brother, he is no longer a human being. He is no longer someone whom we can count as a normal human being. All the things that he does, they are not normal. But my main concern is that the last time that I spoke with my mom, I told her that you need to stop finding women for your son, because all of them, you are just sacrificing them. The news that I had when me and my husband came here to South Africa, on that farm where we are working, there is this lady who is a prophet. One day when we had gone to her house just for some prayers, because we were still looking for a job on that farm at that time, me and my husband, we were not working every day. So we wanted some prayers so that at least we can work at least for 2 or more weeks per month. Then when we went to that prophetess house, she then looked at me and she said, in your family there is blood that was spilled by your young brother. This woman, she gave me the correct prophecy, and I said, yes, I know. My young brother killed this other young lady that he was dating. Then that lady said, the story does not end there. Your mother and her relatives, they did even more evil rituals. And when they did these evil rituals, they made sure that whenever this spirit of this young woman that was killed by your young brother, when it comes, then what is going to happen is that he has to get married to another young woman, and that young woman will die. But in the end, your family is going to suffer because of this spirit of these innocent women that have been lured into this relationship by your mother. And your mother does not tell them the truth that her son has murdered someone and her blood is still on his hands. She keeps on luring these young, poor, desperate women. And then when they look at your mother's house, they think that at least they will be able to find a place to stay because of poverty. They will agree to get married to your brother. But in the end, you are going to suffer. Your whole family is going to suffer. So I then spoke with my mom about this issue. But from that day, my mom has told me that I am no longer her daughter, because I have accused her of witchcraft. And we know that, and in our Shona culture, if you accuse your parent of being a witch, then they say that you also suffer. It is a taboo. So right now they say that I am going through that process. So right now, my mother's relatives, they have said that I am supposed to pay my mother and to ask for forgiveness. I don't know if I should ask for forgiveness, considering the fact that I know that these things that she did, they are the truth, but she refuses them. She says that I am the one who is lying. As for my brother, you will feel so sorry for him. He is now mentally ill. He is no longer okay. But my mother keeps on spoiling him. My brother, he is staying at my mom's house. My mom does everything for him, buys the best clothes for him, feeds him, makes sure that he is always happy, but he is mentally ill, and she does not want the community to know that he is mentally ill. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our sisters, and that was a narration of her story. Such a sad story. What will happen one day when the brother just takes a knife and then the brother will just stab the mother? Yeah, that is very terrifying.